Hello everyone, good afternoon. We'll try it again. Good afternoon, San Francisco. Oh, getting better. So I'm super excited to be here today. My name is Yitzhak Kesselman and I lead BRK226 and Fabric Real-Time Intelligence at Microsoft. I'm also excited because today we are celebrating a birthday, 1 year since GA of Fabric Real-Time Intelligence. So happy birthday, everyone. It's great to see familiar faces and also new faces here. So we have a packed agenda. We hope to be on time. And I will start kind of laying out kind of the problem, the solution, what we are adding, and also we'll hear from our customers the new additions and how they use the product. So let's get started. I'm sure that everybody knows the pressure that you have on your organization to reduce the cost, optimize your customer satisfaction, and mitigate risk. And the problem today in the field is that majority of the data of your data in the organization is being locked. Majority of the data in your organization is operational data that you cannot utilize today. And if you look at the kind of the reasons for that, there are many reasons, but mainly the data is being siloed between different domains, different data sources. The data arrives late, so it doesn't allow you to take action on this data. And there is too many instances for humans to track and act on this operational data. And if you look at the market of real-time tools, all up from capturing out to running agents, you can see that the market is super fragmented. So for our customers and you to build kind of solution, you will need to build a bespoke solution that combines many of those pieces into one. And that means that this solution is going to be fragile, it's going to be expensive. And that's the reason why many organizations don't even try it before. And to make sure that we have the platform that's ready for AI, we need to make sure that we have a one integrated solution that requires a unified data stack, making sure that it's very easy for everyone in the organization, from business users to analysts, to act on this data and generate value of it. Make sure that the data comes in near real time, that you can take the right decision at the moment. And you need to make sure that you're working across one unified data set, because if the data is siloed, you cannot see the full bigger picture there. And again, AI. Everybody speaks about AI, and it's super critical in the era of AI, and we'll invest quite a lot of time of this presentation to talk about how real-time intelligence relevant for AI, but real-time intelligence is a key power to drive your AI. So speaking about AI, everybody talks about it, but what's really the value of it? If you look at the advancement in software engineering and the age of AI, we moved from client-server application that allows to distribute software to web and internet and SaaS as a service that really helped to make sure that everyone in the organization to act on this data. But today we are speaking about the agentic world and what AI means in this world. We can easily set it into two pieces. One is machine learning, the traditional machine learning algorithms that help you to find the interesting parts of the data, and LLMs. LLMs help us to reason about this data and make it actionable for us. And that's what makes super powerful for us. At AI excels really finding the insights behind the sea of data across all those signals and drive the outcomes that we need for our business. So if we look at the cycle of kind of collecting the data, the signals, observing them, analyzing and acting on them, we need to make sure that we enable both users, the humans, and the agents to work on this continuously together on this thing. And our goal here is really to move from this very reactive world where you collect the data, humans look at that, there is delays, to this proactive and autonomous world where the signals are being collected automatically and we help agents to reason about that. And that's what we're seeing across the organization. You will hear from our customers. That's the difference between leading and lagging. If you look under this wall of logos, those are examples across all verticals of the industry. Different companies from airlines, manufacturing, energy. You'll hear today from healthcare, from manufacturing today, how they utilize real-time intelligence to really drive their business forward. And you ask how they do it? Of course they do it with real-time intelligence. Real-time intelligence is one of the Fabric key workloads here that allows you to work with this high granularity streaming data to drive the operations. So let's see it in action.
Most of your data today remains untapped. Hidden among a sea of signals are the moments that matter. A customer ready to buy, a vehicle needing service. Real-time intelligence in Microsoft Fabric analyzes every event as it happens, powers AI agents that run your business, and takes precise actions before the moment is lost. Stream events from your operational systems with simple connectors, then design real-time pipelines and event-driven architectures. From there, interactively analyze petabytes of data, with Copilot making it faster and easier. And discover and manage all your organization's events in one place. Understand your operations holistically by also building digital twins of your real-world assets and systems, applying graph analytics to uncover complex relationships and dependency chains, and using geospatial analytics to optimize your operations, all with no-code tools. Visualize your operations with real-time dashboards and get answers from AI agents in real time. Detect risks and opportunities as anomalies emerge. Create rules to trigger workflows and alerts, and design AI agents that intelligently run parts of your operations. This is the leap from reactive to proactive, from missed opportunities to AI-driven advantage. Fabric real-time intelligence, turning signals into business outcomes. All your data, all your teams, all in one place. This is Microsoft Fabric.
So that was the product in a minute and a half. It's good that we have another 38 minutes to cover it in depth, so don't worry. And a bit about the product, how it was built. And again, I mentioned the product is 1 year old, but the key part here is to think how we build it and why we build it. We started with our Azure Data Platform services. Those services are there for more than 10 years, and we bring with them the compliance, the scale, the reliability of those services from the Azure world. But our goal here is to give you value in the era of AI. And speaking of AI, because it's also a new product, you get AI thought up front about this. So it's from one end a new product that provides all those AI capabilities built in and powers AI, but also bring the scale, the resiliency, and the compliance of those services that are 10 plus years in the market. And if you look at the scale that we are here talking about, you can just imagine we're speaking here about 14 exabytes of logs and events that processed in a month. That's the scale that those services are operating. And speaking of kind of real-time intelligence, what we are talking here about, our goal is to really democratize and enable your business users to bring their data in. Our goal is no matter where the data resides, we provide out-of-the-box connectors to several dozens of data for streaming sources and log sources, and we add every month, every week, new sources. And from there, we make it very easy to do stream processing on this data. So when the data lands in real-time intelligence, you can stream process this data. From there, you can do analytics on those large corpus of data. You can model and contextualize, and we'll share more about new capabilities that you saw in the video around maps, the geospatial solution, and graphs. And then, of course, you can visualize and act. And when speaking about visualize and act, this is where the power of AI comes in. And again, I was mentioning there's several dozens. Those are examples per industry. There is a huge momentum of Fabric real-time intelligence. So since it became a GA in the last year, already today, there are more than 47% of all our Fabric customers utilize real-time intelligence. And it's the highest growing workload in Fabric. It grew more than 6x in the last year. And the question, because it solved a business problem that was there for many years, but now it's very easy to solve. And we see this momentum not only from our customers, but also from our partners. There's more than 40,000 different partners that are trained to provide and help you to build those solutions. There's 95 featured partner companies that can help you build that. So instead of hearing me about this solution, I would like to invite Ashokkan from Apollo Hospitals to share their story with real-time intelligence.
Hey.
Thank you for coming.
And happy birthday once again.
Thank you. So tell us a bit about your role. You're the global CEO, and about Apollo Hospitals.
Thank you so much, and namaste everyone. My name is Ashokkan, coming from Apollo Hospitals in India, managing the technology delivery ecosystem for the hospitals division in the group. Apollo is the earliest corporate hospital network, which is an integrated network today with 77 hospitals plus 6,500 clinics, pharmacies, and about 250 clinics, etc. With the vision of touching billion lives has been our goal, and providing affordable international standards of care from our chairman. We are proud to say that we have touched close to about 150 plus million of patients today, and we want to command the leadership of technology within the Indian enterprise.
Thank you, and again, thank you for coming here from India. Can you share with kind of your initiatives? What were the business goals and why choose Fabric real-time intelligence? We're speaking here about hospitals. People may think, oh, it's more analytical scenarios, but you really took the thought thinking here to the future and thinking how we can do that. So tell us about your goals there.
Thank you for asking that important question, Yitzhak. I think we all are aware of the golden hour that requires utmost care and attention when we kind of look at how do we care patients for their effectiveness, right? I think that's the power that kind of led us to say what we need to do, and Fabric gave us that platform and power and pathway to do it. So when we kind of understood what Fabric offers us, the real-time intelligence, we coined ourselves in the vision of 4 themic command centers that how do we want to run. First is called the Enhanced Connected Command Center, which drives patients' clinical monitoring in remote setups, be it on the wards or on the ICUs or even outside the homes, right? So we kind of looked at that as a first theme in the model. The second one is about how do we enhance the experience from a patient standpoint in terms of those softer aspects that what do you want to give them a holistic experience of how do you take care of them and their companions at the hospital. The third is about how do we provide the efficiency for the doctors and the caregivers, and how do we empower them to take decisions at the time when it is required for them. Fourth is about governing this entire enterprise from a control standpoint, right? From financial controls or your audit controls that you want to look at. So we kind of looked at multiple events of transactions that happens across the ecosystem and try and then give you those insights in the form of intelligence into the ecosystem. That's how we want to power that as. What we then also thought about to look at is having data alone does not help, right? How do we power that as an operational workbench for us to move? And that we kind of use the Microsoft 365 platform to kind of pull those data into the Teams channels and the collaboration suites with good amount of power apps that will help people to connect and coordinate and close the loop in terms of how do we look at these intelligence from action.
Thank you, Ashokkan. And if you look at the architecture that was implemented, we can see here that you put real-time intelligence in the core. Can you tell a bit more about kind of in a high level, the solution that you changed your thinking from being from analytical to real-time, and kind of what's next to you?
Sure. I'll step back a little bit to understand why we want to have one integrated platform. Having to run 70 hospitals across, we have kind of distributed regionally across 10 instances, and having an enterprise view in a real time was the primary need from a tech standpoint that we want to provision for the enterprise, and hence Fabric kind of gave in the whole purpose. So we kind of coined 3 layers. One is the real-time layer, which is the bronze layer that we call, which could use for communications, use for quick insights and tips. Then we had a silver, which is a transform layer, and the gold, which connected with the FHIR modeling of the transfer data sets to do much amount of business outcomes and dashboards. So we kind of created the entire RTA layer for real-time operational insights, which would be at the hands of the people on the ground on the floor, and the business outcome dashboards more for correlation, regression analysis for business outcomes. So that's how we kind of coined with the data solutions that we had.
And speaking of kind of business users, so can you tell a bit about what was the impact on Apollo Hospital after they implemented Fabric Real-Time Intelligence? How it changed your business and your life of your patients?
We've kind of split our implementation into 2 phases. The first phase covered the enhanced connected care centers and the operational efficiency dashboards. One of the key things that we see is the intervention of care kind of reduced about 60% on all our code blue events. Code blue is those cardiac arrest events that you see across when the patient's vitals go down. So we kind of had that go down a little bit. And we also had our patient experience on conversions close to about 25% that we could improve, and then make sure the holistic care and the gaps are kind of filled and then managed. That's something that we kind of take pride in to say that the data that you provisioned on the platform made the impact with the right set of care and interventions. The last one that we try to do is to kind of correlate all this and then build clinical intelligence through our copilots, and then enable doctors to kind of query data sets, understand the events that has happened over the last 24 hours or 48 hours on the patient's care. And those are some insights that we are trying to provide and then move forward with.
And again, I'll just repeat for the audience, like implementing real-time intelligence, not only it impact the business, we'll talk more in a second about all of RTI, but it's really reduced the amount of code blues in the ICU. So that's like amazing to hear. And thank you so much for joining me here today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, one of the misconceptions about real-time intelligence is around the cost and the value. So you heard from Ashokkan how much it improved the operation efficiency by 60%. And we ran a third-party benchmark that compared Fabric Real-Time Intelligence to other solutions in the market, and I will kind of flash quickly the numbers, but we're hearing it from multiple customers. Customers that implement Fabric Real-Time Intelligence, they realize between 40 to 60% reduction in overall cost. And that's something important for you. This is a big misconception about real-time. Not only it's cheaper, but also allows you to provide more business value for the user. So I want to shift gear and kind of talk about kind of next evolution, how we are evolving the product, and we are going beyond space and relationship. And with that, I would like to invite Tessa to talk more about that.
Thank you, everyone. So as Yitzhak said, we've been out GA celebrating a year of real-time intelligence, but we haven't been sitting idle since we released it. In fact, we've been releasing new updates every week. But we're going to spend a few minutes talking about some of the big recent updates in case you missed them. And as Yitzhak said, it's really kind of expanding the scope of the different areas that we're looking at to really ensure customers, organizations can see their entire business. And so, of course, we started with time and really having that temporal aspect and ensuring that people can understand, the sequence of things, how they happen, in what order. But that's not really enough. And so then we recently added support for spatial. And this is where you can see how something happens, where it happens within space. And then we kept going and actually added relational and causal, bringing in native graph capabilities so you can see the full network and impact of the items as they happen, where they happen, and how it's related.
Are we going to see a demo?
We're going to see a few demos, actually. The first one, we'll start with maps. And so this is already public preview. If you haven't tried it today, please go into Fabric and try it out. And essentially, this allows you to build, create, and consume these map-centric applications, all without GIS expertise. So really, really high fidelity, amazing maps with lots of different configurations. You can see a few on the GIF. Connecting directly to your data in OneLake, including your real-time data as it's streaming in. So let's jump right in and actually see it happening. So in this case, we're going to use kind of an airline theme, and we're going to show how easy it is to actually create different items, create these maps to help understand what's happening within my organization. And I'm going to go back and try to hit it again and be a little bit more patient this time. Everything has to happen in real time, right? Is that how we do it? If you can do it while I start talking. So the first thing you're going to do when you kind of get into Fabric, like anything else, is you're actually going to create an item. You're going to create a map, right? And so you can see right now I'm actually in my workspace. I can see all the different items that are alongside it. I can see I have notebooks, I have event streams, I have my map item, all in this one particular workspace. And I can go and actually create a brand new map, which I'm going to leverage again for my kind of airport operations. And so very quickly, I can connect it to data. I'm bringing in data from Lakehouse. In fact, I'm bringing in these different flight paths, and I can customize the map as I'm building it. And when I want to bring in a ton of different data, this map can scale to the size of the data that you're bringing in. And it helps with sampling and that type of thing to ensure it can scale. But I don't have to just do data from my Lakehouse. I can also bring in my real-time data from my event house. And so now I'm actually going to bring in the actual flights as they're coming in and other alerts that are coming in, so from the air traffic. And very easily, in just a few quick clicks, I'm connecting not just to the data, but I'm actually visualizing it and seeing moving on the map as I'm building it. And it doesn't have to just be the points. You can see this different view is showing the different volume in different areas as the information's coming in. I can fully customize it and easily share it across my organization so they can get these exact insights. But we also didn't stop there. A part of maps, a very important part, is the imagery part of it. So what you can start seeing is that in addition to the, our out-of-box maps that we can provide, you can actually bring in additional custom imagery layers. And so in this case, for example, it's showing, for example, images of how a certain construction project is evolving over time. I can use that as the base and then actually similarly bring in my data and plot it right on top of this visual in that same kind of customized map way. And I can actually see the information as it's moving. And I can integrate the different feeds. I can also leverage different pieces, like whether it's the heat maps or these moving dots as you see them. And so in this particular case, for example, I'm actually going to refine this passenger traffic into a heat map to help me kind of understand hotspots across my airline and my airport. And so this was really helpful in taking the data that I already had and putting it in context of where it was happening so that I can kind of better understand what's going on. But that's not enough. Again, as we said, you really need all of these different pieces to kind of come together and tell that full story so that we really understand. And so what happened now, the map has helped me understand that there is a problem, but what the problem is or what could happen, this is where I'm going to turn to graph. So we announced graph as native graph capabilities directly in Fabric. Very similar to what we were saying about maps, it works directly off of your data in OneLake. And for anyone who's leveraged graph technology, you know this is huge. No additional ETL required. You can work right on top of the data as a source of truth directly in OneLake. So big improvement.
And that's available for you to try today. So
also trying today, yes. So you have lots of homework after this session to go try graph, go try maps, all of the different pieces we're doing. But you can see from the GIF how we also take advantage of this low-code, no-code experience to really democratize this same capability, as Yitzhak's been mentioning, across all of the real-time intelligence pieces. So let's jump into another demo.
let's see a demo.
Oh, once again, I'm clicking too quickly. Okay, so in this case, we're going to start by actually, if you can hit it again, very similarly, everything in Fabric, you start by creating an item, right? And the benefit of this item is it's the item that you can kind of control, put it in the right workspace, have the right permissions around it. So once I create the graph item, in this case it's the graph model, I'm going to be brought into a canvas to actually model out my graph. And the first thing we're going to do is actually select data. And so as I mentioned, this data is directly your data in OneLake. You can see all of the different data you have access to. And very quickly, I can choose the right lakehouse, and I can see the different tables that are available to me. Selecting a specific table, I can even preview the data to make sure I'm bringing in the right thing. And I can also see the different data points, and as well as the entities, the columns that are related from that data as well. Now, once I have some data, I'm going to start by just building my graph. So with graph, we think about nodes and edges. And so again, continuing our airport theme, we have a passenger that we'll add in. We have flights. And so you can see that we bind the node to the actual data source that we are bringing in. And we can kind of keep bringing up all of these different pieces of my overall model. Now, once I have the different nodes, now we can start actually building the graph and build the relationships and the edges. So for example, passengers are related to other passengers, so you see a self relationship there. You can see all of this is done through this intuitive UI experience. And so I can just drag and drop and connect all these different things. Flights have both arrivals and departures. And after doing a few more connections, I can essentially build up my graph model. And now it's ready to save and query. And querying is just as easy as building out the model as well. Similarly, through this graphical interface, I can grab the different nodes that I'm looking for, and I can essentially visually build out the subset of the model that I want to actually query for. And in this case, we're going to look for passengers' flights in the airports, and we're going to add a specific filter for the flights that are coming in and out of JFK. And I'm also going to add for a specific flight date. So I'm kind of narrowing down my whole system of data to this specific view. And now you see very quickly, if I hit run, that query that I built visually executes into now a graphical result that I can interact with. I can see the flight that's coming in. I can see all the passengers that are impacted and passengers that might have other connecting flights as well. So I'm starting to help identify a possible issue about delays and how this could impact and who it's going to impact in my system. But we can take it even further than that. And if you're not familiar with graph query language or GQL, you saw the graphical experience you can use. You can also use it directly through Copilot. So you can see here a natural language query actually generating a pretty complex GQL query on my behalf. All I asked was, let's show the passengers with the specific flight and the specific date. And very quickly, it started to find those groups of passengers and how they're related that are going to be impacted by the specific flight that I'm looking for. So again, it's very intuitive, and having this investigation and relationship across my system that's very hard to find from traditional sources today. And I can take it even further. So now I have the passengers, I have the flights, I have the departs, I have the airports, and you could see how we're building this up. In this case, we're also going to add in the hotel and the hotel chains because, of course, individual flyers have their preferred hotels. And if they are impacted by a delay, we want to put them in the right hotel, their preferred spot. And so very quickly, again, this query can run, and now I have a full view of not just the flights that are impacted. I have those people who are impacted by the flights, and then I can see actually their preferred hotel chains and local hotels that I'm able to put them in. multiple hops, multiple impacted, related items, all connected into a single view that really helped me find that insight that would have been very difficult to traditionally find. And you don't have to stay just in that graph view. You can switch over into the card view or tabular view. So once you have that insight to really better take action on what you've discovered.
And everything that you see here through UI or Copilot, you can use also with a programmatic way. So the pro developers can use CI/CD and use this functionality with code.
Yeah, and we actually, speaking of kind of pro developer, pro scenarios, actually, we have a great partnership with Microsoft Sentinel, if you want to say a bit more.
Yeah, so one of the things that we believe in Microsoft, the same applies to the other services, that we believe in needing our own dog food, as we say. Other products in Microsoft build on this technology. So Microsoft Sentinel Graph is powered by Fabric Graph. So that's something that, a quote from Krishna, the CP, that for graphs, attackers think about in graphs, and today the data is in tables. So that's something, show you the scale that those graphs can operate at. We're speaking here about billions and stuff.
Billions of nodes and edges, yeah. Very exciting pieces. So some exciting recent announcements that really show everything about the different business.
Thank
I'll
you,
hand it back
Tessa.
to you. Thank you.
So speaking about time series data, spatial data, relational data, I want to take it to the next level and to invite a customer to speak about their scenario, Fred and Bharathi from Swire Coca-Cola, to share about their story of real-time intelligence and what we're doing. So
Thank you.
So I'm sure that everyone knows what Coca-Cola is. So what's Swire Coca-Cola?
So Swire Coca-Cola is a bottler supplier for Coca-Cola. We are very proud because we support the western portion of the United States, and we have the biggest geography compared to any bottler here in the US. We support roughly 194 million cases a year is what we produce. We support 31 million customers, and we do that with 50 brands as well as over 250 products. With that, we have 6 production centers at peak. Just to give you a reference point, we produce 2,000 cans on a line in a minute. So it's very high volume, and we do that with distribution, over 63 distribution centers with our 2,000 trucks.
So that sounds like a piece of cake, very easy, no complexity.
It's not at all.
Easy, real time. So Bharathi, can you tell a bit more about the challenges, like why RTI? I understand manufacturing, but like what are the challenges that you were having, kind of what you were trying to solve?
Yeah, sure. Like any other company, or most companies, we have a complex data ecosystem. So we have data coming from operational functional functions such as supply chain, manufacturing, logistics, warehouse, sales, and then you have data from HR and financial data. So how do we bring it all together? At the end of the day, we as a company, our goal is to leverage data as a strategic enabler, which means that we start with unifying all of these disparate data sources. We want to make sure that the data is available in the right time and in the right place, and ensuring that we provide that single pane of view to our business users at the end of the day. We talk about challenges today. So there are multiple sources of data. We have issues we have multiple BI tools. We have unclear data definitions. There's one metric that's used across the enterprise, which has multiple different definitions of data. Data quality continues to be an issue for us. When you talk to the business teams, hey, we don't trust the data that you're providing to us.
Never heard about it.
Data is difficult to find. And then the last but also critical one is data literacy, right? There's so much data that's available. How do I find the right data for what I'm trying to do? So.
Sounds like we came to the right place. So I heard that you have a surprise for us.
Yes, we do.
So we have a demo that we want to share, like about Swire Coca-Cola, and this was done with partnership with NVIDIA. So that kind of to show you the thought leadership, how companies think about the future of AI with geospatial, with analytical data, with AI. So let me play this video.
Swire Coca-Cola USA operates one of the largest beverage distribution networks in the country. Every day, thousands of deliveries must move on time and in the right sequence. The challenge? Driving operational consistency and minimize delays across a complex network of warehouses, trucks, and retail destinations. We begin with a clear, real-time dashboard view of operations. Every route and truck status across the network, simple and actionable. With this layer in place, Maps in Fabric Real-Time Intelligence visualizes the entire delivery network in real time. The map shows every truck's position, highlighting delays caused by traffic or maintenance issues. Operations teams can gain deeper insights leveraging NVIDIA Omniverse libraries integrated with real-time dashboards. This provides a contextualized, immersive experience, enabling scenario modeling and planning. This capability will be coming soon. Using the latest telemetry, a truck gets flagged in a delayed state. An operations agent has been configured and steps in triggering workflows, notifying merchandisers, alerting the logistics team to explore potential alternative routes, and updating ETAs automatically. Swire Coca-Cola transforms complexity into clarity, enabling real-time decisions, operational agility, and consistent delivery performance.
And again, the stuff that you've seen here today, and thank you so much, Fred and Bharathi, for kind of making it clear for everyone, that's not the future. That's the reality of today. And kind of speaking of the reality, if you want to kind of cover the architecture, I'm sure folks in the audience would like to take a picture. And
Absolutely. I'm not going to drain the slide, but our goal at the end of the day, if you see, as you see the architecture, is to provide a real-time view of the data as it's happening, right? So that real-time intelligence is absolutely critical. So how do we get our ERP to provide that data? So using SAP mirroring, we want to be able to provide that real-time intelligence using RTI and making sure that our frontline associates, our people have the right data at the right time to make that operational decisions.
thank you. And speaking of the future, kind of what enables to do now and what you're planning next?
Yeah, so for us, really, if you think about the future, and it's not that far away,
Yeah, we're
is
speaking
to
here about
drive a
months.
different kind of proposition for execution of operations. It's not reporting something and then figuring out at the end what we did or how well we did it. It's actually integrating our technology stack into how we actually operate the business so we can make decisions and I'll call it additions as we go through the actual process.
For us is to enable operational agents, having that real-time intelligence built into everything that we are doing. Contextualization is king today. How do we provide that contextualized data at real time to enable efficiency in our operations?
And then just lastly, we have over 8,000 employees. What we're trying to get to is actually a single user interface by role versus people going into multiple applications to drive the execution of a process.
Thank you so much. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So again, speaking of AI, speaking of operations agents, we say that real-time intelligence is power and powered by AI. And with that, I would like to call Tessa to speak more about AI and what we're doing in this space.
Yeah, thank you. We can't have a session without AI, right? So we're going to spend a little bit of time and actually have some exciting demos today about how real-time powers and is powered by AI. And when we talk about this, we actually talk about on the full cycle of the data from observed, analyze, decide, and act for both the users of it, but also the AI agents. So whether it's about improving observing and analyzing by helping find high-value signals, whether it's in the analyze and decide space, where it's actually with the Copilot accelerated experiences, or all the way to deciding and acting with having AI-powered decision-making, we really do say RTI powers and is powered by AI. And actually, I'm going to ask Will to come on up and help run us through a couple demos that we have.
Will.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Hi,
Will.
everybody. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is really that Copilot accelerated experiences, and we have some exciting announcements.
Yeah, so the Data Exploration Copilot is available in public preview for you to try today. Let's jump into one of the demos. And so, quick introduction to it first, maybe. It allows you to ask in natural language and explore your data through real-time dashboards to help turn the monitoring that you do in those dashboards into action. And even when you do that exploration, if you find high-value insights, you can pin them back to those dashboards to monitor it over time. So let's run the demo. So in this case, I'm playing the part of one of the operations managers in the airport, and I saw in the bottom left-hand corner there's a spike in the rideshare volume. So I want to investigate this, and Copilot instantly lets me go and ask questions right here in the dashboard and gives me results to show me, this wasn't just a one-off spike, this is something that's happening week over week. I want to break that down in different ways. So in this case, I'm going to look at it by the different rideshare providers. Well, they both had this surge on this week, so that's obviously not what's causing it. Let's compare it to arriving and departing flights. Maybe that'll help give us some more insight. In this case, I'm going to bring it over to use the full screen view, get it a bit more detail on that, but it's still not really explaining it. Look, I've done enough digging. I'm going to let Copilot do the hard work for me. I'm going to ask it to look across all of our operational data and see if it can find any problems. Now here it's actually brought back 5 different fields coming from data that wasn't even in the dashboard. You can see the query behind it. It's unioning all that information together to show me the results. In this case, there was a problem with luggage processing times, and that's what's caused this backlog further down the line. Now, I'm going to filter the visual down to just show me the luggage processing and other ground operations like checkpoint times, and I'm going to save that back to my real-time dashboard so that I can track it and give my operations team something to look at. Now, the operations team can also get notifications on this to track it over time proactively. I can hook up an activator rule to go and send me a Teams message, alert me when these problems occur in that luggage processing, to hopefully address it before it becomes an issue on the curbside, leading to customer dissatisfaction.
Super powerful. Using Copilot, helping me better understand. I found an issue to help me really investigate and understand it.
And we're speaking here about like petabytes and terabytes of data that was done in a few seconds, running all this semi-structured, high-granularity data.
Exactly.
So in this case, though, you found the problem.
Yeah.
So what do we have to help make that even easier?
You know, looking for these spikes is one thing, but wouldn't it be great if the system could find that for you? Well, something we released a couple of months ago in FabCon is the anomaly detector. And this really helps you make sense of those unknown unknowns in your data, finding those things without any data science experience or any code being written, and allows you to then continually scan those data and raise events so that you can act on them autonomously. Let's run the demo on this one as well. So I'm back with the airline here, this time looking at baggage handling information. I start off here in real-time hub, and if I go and look at one of my baggage delay tables, got information coming in about the bags being scanned in and out of the system. And I'm going to create an anomaly detector item on top of this to help me catch this information. And what's happening is it's analyzing the historical data so that we can then apply those patterns to the real-time incoming data to uncover any of those anomalies. And what we do is we have a set of 11 different algorithms that will be used depending on the type and the structure of your data. So it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. When I create this anomaly detector, I'm going to tell it what fields I want it to look at, and then it will figure out what's the best algorithm to apply for the patterns in your data. So whether that's periodic data or trends or spikes, what have you. So I'm looking at the average baggage delivery time by gate, and I'm going to do this analysis, and it will recommend the top 3 algorithms that it thinks to fit that data. I get a preview over on the side to show me the specific anomalies that were found, and I can choose how sensitive I want this to be to make sure that we're not getting too many false positives or false negatives. Now, if I'm happy with that, I can see the preview, I can dig into the details in the table on the right, I can save this and start to publish those anomalies back to the real-time hub for me to go and act on. So when I hit save, publish those back, I can go and subscribe to those. I could save them into an event house to do some further long-term analysis, or I could subscribe to them and set up alerts on them. So again, I'm going to be proactively notified so that my teams can go and take action. I'm going to save an event, an action here with a filter to say, just alert me if there's a confidence score of over 60 for these particular anomalies. That'll help filter out some of the noise, just means that I'm acting on the most concerning issues here. This is just going to send me a Teams message, so it's very simple for me to go and ensure that I'm making sure that passenger flow, whatever it is through my airport, continues smoothly, reducing delays and improving the customer experience by the end of it.
And you said alerts, it can also trigger workflows. Now you can trigger user data functions as well. So really super powerful and easy to use. You didn't have to be a data scientist.
Yeah, no code at all written in that at all. It was all done through the GUI, just a few clicks, very simple to get started too.
Awesome, thank you. So yes, you really saw across all of the different pillars with Copilot, accelerated experiences, helping find those high value signals and then ultimately making better decisions. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Will and Tessa. So that's what we mean when we say that real-time intelligence is power and powered by AI. But if you attended the keynote, I'm sure that you heard about something new that we just announced, FabricIQ. So if you missed that, there was an early session this morning, so you can catch up the recording. But speaking in the context of AI, but talking here about today, we want to make sure that AI is working not just on the table and the schema. We want to make sure that the AI and the agents work on the unified business context, not only just on the data, but the entities they represent in the business. And more than that, those entities are rich entities. They have rules, they have actions, they have functions they can operate, and make sure that those agents are operate on that. And one thing that you saw in the Swire Coca-Cola video that Bharathi was sharing about operations, and so we have one addition for you demo to share with you, and that's something that we are super excited, and I will talk more about it, about our announcement there.
Thank you. Okay, so the operations agent is something that we're announcing this week. We're really excited about how it's going to help augment your operations teams with specialized AI operators that have goals and instructions to monitor, analyze, decide, and even act in real time. You don't need to compromise, though, on the sensitivity of what these look for. You can use those anomaly detection events from earlier on. And the agent have a library of potential actions that you configure it with that it can choose and recommend between, reasoning over that data, but keeping a human in the loop to identify and drive the best outcomes. Let's run the demo.
That's it.
So I'm here again with the ground operations in this airline. And these agents that I'm going to create are really closing the loop, running 24/7 in the background and acting as virtual team members. They're going to be continually reasoning over that historical data, looking for those patterns, making recommendations to the operations teams to improve over time. So when I configure this agent, I'm going to give it goals and instructions. In this case, monitoring runway conditions, making sure that operations are running smoothly, and assigning maintenance crews if needed. I give it instructions that it would take most of the semantic information from the ontology from Fabric-IQ, but I might tailor or scope it to particular activity that I want this agent to take. So I connected it to the ontology there, and I'm also going to define the actions that I'm allowing this agent to reason over and recommend from. So assigning ground crews or assigning different reviews to happen. And I apply the parameters into this as well. So I'm just going to skip ahead. I've got 2 of them now set up, and I've hooked them up to Power Automate workflows so that this agent can reach out to other systems. So with all that configured, I save the agent, and it generates its little kind of playbook of how it's going to operate. You can see the runways object brought in from the ontology, from Fabric-IQ, and there's rules that it's created that it's going to follow and apply over time. What happens over in Teams is it starts monitoring this data and giving me a real-time feed of the updates of what it's found. So it's alerting me to see, hey, there's a particular runway here with some problems, but the alert is grounded in real operational data from the event house that it's monitoring, from the ontology rather that it's monitoring. And it's recommend this runway needs to be cleared, so it's working with the human here to say, hey, you need to go and approve this action before we take it, so that the operations crews, the ground crews can go and work with ATC, close the runway down, get it cleared. So this is not just the agent running on its own. This is it working with the human, the combination of the machine learning, all of that anomaly detection, but human judgment and validation to improve over time and make the operations run even more smoothly on the ground. And again, no code needed, all driven through the GUI, very simple, very easy to get started.
Thank you so much, Will. That's amazing. That's something that's available for you today. It's in public preview, and we got really amazing feedback from customers that tried it in the private preview. You will be amazed how value it brings to your organization. And that's kind of the summary that we're hearing from multiple CIOs across the world. There is no AI without RTI. You cannot really be in the era of AI. You cannot really drive value from AI without real-time intelligence. Connecting all those signals, using this contextualization, and building those agents that can work on this near real-time data. So just to summarize what we showed you today about Fabric Real-Time Intelligence, it allows you to do stream processing, bunch of connectors out of the box. Then you can analyze this data using analytical tools like Event House or the anomaly detector or the insight investigation. But also you can model and contextualize all this data using geospatial maps, using graph, using digital twin builder, and then you can visualize and act on this data. And that's something for you, it's a full comprehensive solution for the era of AI. Again, we are not sitting idle. It's the first board day, but we are working very hard. You can see there's multiple announcements every month, and we continue working on that. And there is more coming. We're releasing stuff literally every week. And there is more to come. Those are kind of our future plans. But the really ask for you is really influence our backlog. We are listening to you. So use the QR code there and provide your ideas. We want to make sure that we're hearing your feedback and we're building the product that works for you. And we also have private preview programs here. We want to make sure that you can use those in private preview. We have custom connectors that allows you to connect to any data source that your team can build. So really join our private previews and provide feedback. And if you want to get started, we highly recommend you to use RTI in a Day workshop. It's a free hands-on workshop. It was delivered more than 100 across 20+ countries. Really use this QR. It's a free day, full workshop for you to really learn hands-on experience on Fabric Real-Time Intelligence. But that's not it. There is much more, many sources here for you to engage, try it yourself, and stay updated. We are releasing stuff literally every week. There's blogs coming every month. So there is a lot of things coming on. So really use this knowledge that we are sharing with you and try the product. And again, there is much more session. There are some recorded, there are some already happened. And if you have questions, please join the booth. And thank you so much for joining us, and enjoy Ignite.